Hello there. So it's been some weeks now since the current Jamaican administration released the strategy for national reconstruction and development. And within that time of release until now, there has been many more strategies included in that whole framework of development. Even though the current administration has given and explained the plans moving forward for the reconstruction and development, there has been many problems that are not even addressed within this plan. Within the analysis for the reconstruction, it is estimated that over 1,800,000 houses were destroyed at approximately 350 billion Jamaican dollars. With the current funding that is said to be able to fund this development, which is a trillion Jamaican dollars, the current economic problem of no local construction companies with the trusted capabilities, which includes the logistics and the infrastructure development, will not be as quick or cost efficient as assumed. So the idea of quick construction is not realistic with the current economy and the ideas of the administration. Some of you will scoff at my statement and think the current administration will be able to do what they plan, but they won't, because if they don't solve the logistics, which the logistics are the roads and delivery, it will be, I would say, in the construction fear will rise the cost of the entire budget allocated. So the Prime Minister says about this, and I quote, Jamaica's national budget, or the last budget, was about 1.4 trillion Jamaican dollars. Just to put that in context, that is $1,000 billion. That's $1 trillion. So for us to repair E.G. and Varden, tell me that to do a kilometer of road in Jamaica properly, you would be looking at about $120 to $250 million. So if we were to repair that 21,000 kilometers to various standards, you're looking at trillions of dollars. In fact, you probably look at between $5 to $7 trillion. So in other words, we would need to use the national budget for 5 years and do nothing else. No school, that includes a pipeline, no school, no house, no school, no hospital, no police, no security, no pension, no public sector workers' salaries, and social programs. So we would have to forego everything for 5 years to make an impact. End quote. So if we are looking at road construction for delivery and maneuvering in the construction sector, that is 7 billion US dollars that has been given by the international countries will not be enough. It will never be enough to sustain the infrastructure and development plan for Narra. In addition, the Narra Development Infrastructure Fund will be placed to also pay the bureaucracy of the Narra institution, which the budget of the National Fund will not be able to place additional funding. So from my point of view, the Narra is nothing more than a way for the politician cronies and the politicians to make money from. If you don't believe me, what I'm saying, you can read section 4 of subsection 5 and section 1 and 2 of subsection 7. The fund that is received by the Narra institution is in total Narra institution is in total control of those appointed by the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is the one that dictates their salaries and appoint the administration, the executive committee. Basically, just think of the executive committee as the board of investors of a company. This is confirmed in 1 and 2 of subsection 7. However, the CEO appoints the other workers. Right? For the annual audit, get this one. This is the funniest one yet. Each year, an audit is to be reported, and this audit will not be from an independent institution. The audit will be appointed by, guess who? The CEO of the Narra institution. The Narra chief will appoint his own investigator. That's so funny. Section 1 of subsection 9, this is confirmed. This act also has a special ND clause that disallows all employees, even the CEO, from disclosing the acts of the institution. This is 1, 2, 3 of subsection 14. You can read this for yourself. Not only these are problems I see, because this shows that the elites are the directors of our economy. I see that in infrastructure development, there is no local company that will be given the opportunity to be a part of this development, nor will they be selected for local partnership with the foreign companies to help in the development. This just shows me that the ruling class cares nothing about the sovereignty and local primacy to develop the working class, but to treat the working class as a cattle to make themselves rich. Why do I say this? Because the local construction enterprise can't compete with the capital and the skill of the foreign ventures from China or other countries, because the state is not incentivizing or using the Chinese model to push their local business. This is what the Prime Minister said in his address in 2024, and I quote, "As we scale up, what we're going to do, contractors must also scale up their capabilities, their competence, and their resources. We are going to increase the capital budget. We're going to bring more projects on stream. We need you to be ready. We need you to make investment in yourselves and in your community." End quote. The Prime Minister stated that Jamaica needs a contracting class that is thinking at an enterprising scale, right? This is what the Prime Minister, that will put, and I quote, this is what the Prime Minister, and I quote, that will put the resources into their business to acquire technical skills, competence, integrate the technology development, and the balances to support the kinds of capital that work the government of Jamaica will bring to the market, end quote. Can't you see? The local businesses are left on their own to self-invest and rise to the occasion, independent of the government. This is a flaw in the liberal economic system, which allows free trade, right? I'm not saying free trade is bad. I am saying the free trade is as a flaw. If you, as a sovereign country, want to prop up your own local industries, you cannot allow the market to dictate it. The state has to intervene. This is what the United States did in their industrial era by tariffing imports and invest that revenue into the local industry, giving projects to their locals to build expertise. China did the same thing by saying to the foreigners, if you want to enter into the market, they have to partner with the local businesses and transfer knowledge and expertise. If the current administration followed that model, then sovereignty is in pursuit, but the Prime Minister is doing the opposite. So in the Narra reconstruction, the local businesses will not be able to compete with the global construction companies. And I quote, this is what the Prime Minister says, right? And the Prime Minister added, while the government will continue to make preferential arrangement for local contractors, they must compete at a regional and global levels. The National Housing Trust has partnered with Chinese companies, Henan Fifth Construction Company Group Jamaica Limited, end quote. This just shows you that all the reconstructions that are happening in Jamaica, the local contractors are not selected. Why? Because the local contractors don't have the skill, the expertise, or the capital to compete with these global contractors. The local contractors themselves recognize the gravity of the Narra bill in relation to them. They know that this bill, because of what it demands, i.e., which is speed, the local contractors don't have the skills to compete with this efficiency and the capacity where they have no expertise in. This is what the Builder Association said in respect to this whole entire Narra bill situation. And I quote, if we're going to bring people from overseas to help us rebuild, it must be in the same time be enabling the people here to take over and do more time, since it is not going to be an overnight process, end quote. This bill did not outline how the local industries will participate. Further, there were no details around how the project will be packages to allow Jamaican contractors to compete. It stated that there was also no information about the apprentice and training requirements. The Construction Association argued that the bill did not indicate any provisions for domestic material sourcing, nor did it acknowledge the chronic payment delays which impacted the sector. And here's what they say, and I quote, reconstruction statute that creates demand without addressing the supply side realities, labor shortage, material constraint, bonding capacity being tied up, and late payment squeezing cash flow, risk producing exactly the outcome Jamaica should avoid, foreign dominant emergency contracting, limited domestic capacity growth, and weak economic returns for Jamaican workers and firms, end quote. With how the plan is set up, with how the Narra plan is set up, with how the web of economic progress is set up, Jamaica is nowhere close to the threshold of being an independent and creating local sovereignty jobs. So this is my analysis of the whole Narra situation.